Everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to continue our series of working through the trusted AD chain over on Vulnlab. Now, if you have not watched part 1, I recommend watching it, but here's a TLDR. Trusted is an AD chain on Vulnlab. What that means is it's actually two machines that we need to compromise. We need to compromise one machine, which it looks like is a child domain controller, abuse the trust relationship between the child and the parent, and potentially we are going to do it, take over the parent domain controller. Now, if you've never done a Vulnlab machine, they are incredibly difficult. I guarantee you we are going to get stuck and fall into rabbit holes. I have no idea how many parts this series is going to be. It might be 4, it might be 8. I don't know how long it's going to take to work through this, but I want to give you my full methodology, my thought process, my note-taking, and all of that fun stuff. Now, before we dive into the fun content, I do want to let you know that this video is brought to you by me. Hey, outside of streaming and all the things I have on YouTube, I actually have courses that you can go through that are incredibly affordable. And let me show you the courses that I have released right now. I have hands-on phishing. This is the newest one that will teach you to do a full phishing campaign covering Go Fish and Evil Jinx, how to purchase domains, how to configure DNS and TLS, how to spoof phone numbers and do pretext calling alongside of phishing. It is only $34.99 for lifetime access, and if you enroll by August 5th, you will be eligible to win an OSAP voucher. That is an $1,800 value, but only those who enroll by August 5th will be eligible. I'll be doing the drawing live on stream. I also have Introduction to AWS Pentesting, all hands-on, that will take you from beginner to intermediate level when it comes to AWS and cloud pen testing. And finally, I have Introduction to Hacking Methodology, more of a beginner course to getting you comfortable with hacking and CTFs. But one big thing I added to that course is I now have resume review as part of that. So if you go through that course, there's a place for you to submit your resume. I personally review every single one of those and give you actionable feedback for your career. So if you haven't enrolled in my courses, enroll in all of them. Like, seriously, I would very much appreciate it. I do my best to keep those very affordable, but also adding incredible value to you if you go through the courses. Did I create the silver platter machine on Try Hack Me? I did, Red. Also, you guys might notice you usually see the chat on the screen. I'm still in the process of moving everything over to this new office, and I haven't configured the on-screen chat yet. So you'll see that, but there are people watching this live, and I'm recording this while I'm live streaming, and you should be part of the live studio audience sometime. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you are notified the next time I go live. But all that being said, let's go ahead and whoops, I don't want to switch to that one. Let's go ahead and recap real quickly where we've been with this machine. So I had to relaunch it. So you're going to notice I have new IPs here. We're at 45 and 46 instead of these IPs right here. So I need to go ahead and update that. Also, I'm using a brand new Kali VM because I'm experimenting with Kimu, I think is what it's called, instead of VirtualBox. And so I'm sure I'm going to miss some tools, but we'll figure things out as we go. But step number 1 is we're going to go ahead and configure this first in Etsy host. So you saw me do this in part 1, and let me do it real quick since we relaunched our machine. I'll do sudo nano Etsy host. Type that in, and I'm just going to drop down here and grab these IPs. So I'm going to grab 10.45, paste that in, and then grab the 46. I don't even remember the names of the machines, so let's go ahead and grab that information real quick. Well, we see that 53 is trusteddc.trustedvl, so we'll go ahead and do that. Trusteddc.trusted.vl, and what is the child one? I'm going to click into it. I believe it gives us the information from our scan. Looks like that's just trustedvl from what I can see. And that's the name of this one. So we'll just change this one to trusted VL. I also saw lab. Okay, so we'll do lab.trusted.vl. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And that is everything that we should be good with. Now, we left things off on this local file inclusion. So let's dive back into that over on, it'd be lab.trusted, right? Yes, lab.trusted.vl. So I'm going to open up Kaido. If you've never heard of Kaido, Kaido is a web proxying audit tool built from the ground up in Rust. I showcase this in many of my videos, but it's an alternative to Burp Suite that's a little more affordable. and you're not rate limited if you use the free version. Let me create a project. We'll call this trusted, and I'll click create, go over to intercept. I like to use the built-in browser. Otherwise, I always forget to turn off Foxy Proxy. And let's go out to this website, lab.trusted.vl. I believe it was just on port 80. Oh, you know what would be a good idea? If I got on the VPN. That's always a great thing to do. So let's get on the VPN, and then we'll see if it works. There we go. And on here, we found a developer or a dev endpoint. So let's go over to that dev endpoint real quick. And here is our dev endpoint. When we do about, we saw this classic LFI right there. Now, a few things that we can do here, but one thing is we fuzzed it. Whoops, we fuzzed it. And we found that we could read the Apache logs error log. So what I want to do, and also we have db.php, and that said connected successfully. And when we were looking at the error logs, we saw a bunch of interesting information here, and we saw part of a password for the SQL database connection. You can see we have the root for the SQL database, and the password begins with super secure MySQ, but we don't know the rest of it. So that's going to be our mission now, is can we find the credentials for this database? One is I want to continue to do fuzzing on LFI, because there's a lot of files, especially with Apache, that might give us a hint into this. We could also try to read database.php, I think with like an LFI filter. I don't know what's going to be the right way, but let's go ahead and dig into this together. So I'm going to do GitHub. I think it's jhaddix LFI files. If I can find it. Yes, it's this word list right here. I'm going to copy that and go to tab on my CD over to user share word list. What? Oh, that's not there. User share word list. Geez, I can't type. And I'll just add it here. I'll just do lfi.text. I'm going to paste that in. I didn't do that as root, so that's actually not going to work. Sudo nano lfi jaddix.text. Enter in our password, and then we'll paste it in. Okay, now what I want to do is over here in Kaido, I want to actually load a file. All right, looking over at chat, does Foxy Proxy work with Kaido? It does, yes. We'll go over to files. I'm going to upload my file, and what I want to do is we'll go out to the user, wherever that's at. Whoops, user, share, wordless, and jhaddix, open, and that loads the file into that. And then what I want to do is turn on intercept. Just go ahead and grab this request, Control M on my keyboard to send it to automate. Turn off queuing. We'll go over to automate. I like to close this out there. And we're going to mark this as our injection point, or the area that we want to fuzz. I'm going to add a placeholder here. LFI jhaddix looks good. Settings of 10 workers is good as well. Preprocessors. I don't know if we need a URL encode. I don't know if the word list is already URL encoded, but we'll just keep it and we'll give it a shot. So we'll hit run and let it do its thing. Let me look over at chat to see if I'm missing any questions. Oh, we got the one and only Tiberius checking in. What is up, dude? Good to have you here. Guys, if you're not planning on attending Tiberius's game shows at DEF CON, you need to. And you're doing like 4 of them, dude. I know there's like a look-alike John Hammond contest. There's like Feet Jeopardy or something. Tell us all the game shows you're doing at DEF CON. Also, apologize again to those of you just tuning in. Usually I have the live stream or the chat on screen. I'm setting up a new office. I have a new computer I've set up, and I have forgot to add the chat before the stream, so I'll do it next time. But okay, looking at our LFI, we already confirmed this. I'm just curious what files we have. I mean, here's the, I saw the database one. Whoops, if I can click a few more times. There's a database.php one that says connected successfully. And we know the beginning of the password from the previous live stream is super secure MySQ something. So let's jump over to this and see what other files do we have. What's this long one? We have the error log and we have an access log. I think we were looking at the error log before. Yes, let's look at the access log and see if we can get any hints on finding this password. I don't know if these are just us, although no, because I didn't I didn't hit PHP my admin at all. If I do like a control F first, if I do my, what was the password called? Super secure. Okay, there's no matches for that. How about matches for, it was database.php, right? db.php. We have 42 matches. All right, let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. Hopefully that looks okay. We have a match there. News database.php. Oh, and we do have an LFI filter right here. Here in the access log. That's odd. I wonder if the creator of the room was testing this. Well, YOLO, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab Flame Shot and we'll just grab a picture of this. You wouldn't normally see this in the real world, but that was one of the ideas I had, using an LFI filter to try to read database.php. So I'm just going to grab that as a screenshot. We'll drop it into our notes. Potential LFI filter found in Apache access logs. Okay, so we have Tiberius says game shows at DEF CON. Actually, a game show about correcting people. Feet Feud, Hacker Family Feud, and the John Hammond Lookalike Contest. I'm excited. Should I drop Burp Pro for Kaido? You should not. No, so guys, I like to show Kaido on stream because I think it's just more affordable for those doing CTFs and just learning. But for my day in and day out job as like a pen tester when I'm doing web apps, Burp Pro is still my #1 tool and the standard tool, I believe. It's an industry standard for a reason. Kaido has some of the same functionality, but not nearly as much as Burp, especially when it comes to Burp's extensions, libraries, or App Store, BAP Store, whatever they call it. That's where Burp really shines. So for like your day in, day out professional web app pen testing, I recommend investing in Burp Pro for now. But I like Kaido, I like the developers, and I like to showcase it on stream. It's a good place to start without being rate limited on things, and yeah. But Burp's still like the industry standard. So if you want to be a web app pen tester, I do recommend getting very familiar with Burp. Anyways, let's look over at this LFI. We have this right here. So I'm going to copy this. We'll go over to, actually, I'm going to send this over to replay. And then I'll replace this with that LFI filter. Could you click into replay? I'm in replay now, Root. You let me know what you want to see. Boom. And we have a base 64 encoded value, which makes sense because of how the LFI filter works. Hey, peace out, Thicolo. Thank you for jumping in, though, and hanging out for a little bit. Let me cd to home. I'm going to make a directory for Vulnlab. CD to Vulnlab, make a directory for trusted, CD to trusted, and then we'll work from here. Change my tab to terminal, change this tab to VPN. And now let's see what the value of this base 64 encoded string is. So I'm going to echo it out. I'm going to pipe it to base 64-D for the code. And there is that super secure MySQL password 1337 for the root user. So I'm going to copy all of this so we have the full workflow for our notes. And so I'm going to drop this like that right there. And we can grab a screenshot of when we exploited this with Kaido. So we have it in our note. So I'm going to copy this. And then we have the base 64 encoded value there. We don't need to make the screenshot super big, but just so we have the steps to reproduce in our notes. And the way I take notes when you guys see me working on stream, this is the way I take it on a pen test. Like what separates a good pen tester from a pen tester that everyone else on the team is annoyed with is their ability to document their findings, making steps to reproduce it so that if another pen tester is digging into it, they can easily reproduce it. Or so the security team, after you submit your report, they don't have to bug you over and over again. You make it very clear, here's the steps I use, here are supporting screenshots, here's how you can reproduce it in your environment. So don't piss off the rest of your pen test team. Learn how to document, learn how to take screenshots, learn how to report well. Let me turn on word wrap here. Wrap code. But now we have a password. So is there actually a period at the end of the password? Looks like there is. All right. super secure MySQL password 1337. That it's almost my bank password. My bank password is super secure. My bank password 1337. I don't know how they knew that, but very close. Was SQL open? SQL database open on this machine? I'm gonna go with probably. It is open, so we have it on port 3306 right there. Is that installed? It is? Okay, so I think it's MySQL. Actually, I don't remember what the syntax is. I'm not going to read that. I'm pretty sure it's MySQL -u. We'll do root -p. I'm going to drop in that password. I'm sure I'm screwing up the syntax here, but we'll figure it out. Grab this password. And then is it -h potentially for host? Which would be lab.trusted.vl. Nope, I totally messed that up. All right, let's look at the syntax real quick. So -p for password. Oh, H is HTML. Lowercase h is host name. Let's try that. Okay, I thought I passed it the password. Let me just get out of this. And, oh, we also might have that issue. I'm going to go like this. We'll try this first. And then I'll grab the password from right here. Okay, SSL is required. MySQL -h grep. Okay, grep SSL. Enable SSL for connection, automatically enabled. Use skip SSL to disable. Wait, what was the error message? Did it say that it needed SSL or it did not? I'm just going to try skipping it because it says it's enabled by default. So skip SSL. And also, I'm just going to pass the password on the command line. So let's try that. I need to still do the -lowercase p so it prompts for the password. And now we'll grab the password again, copy. Boom, and I got successfully authenticated. Let's go ahead and add that syntax to our notes. I'll do an H2, we'll say, and we'll say enumerating the SQL database. And we'll drop in the syntax we use to connect. Hey, peace out, spooks. Thank you for hanging out. All right, now let's begin to enumerate. We can do show databases. And we have some standard ones, information schema, MySQL news, phpMyAdmin, and test. So a few that might be worth digging into. We can just start with news, use news, show tables. That's users, so let's select everything from the users table. And we have 3 users, and it appears to be hashed passwords. So we'll grab this information right here. Say finding some hashed passwords, drop it into our notes, and we could just very quick like make a list of these hash passwords. I know there's better, more hacker ways to do this, but whoops. It's only 3 of them, so I'm just going to grab them right here, and we'll see if we can crack any of the hashes. One more password. I'm going to copy these, open up our terminal. There was other databases too, I guess. We should look into those databases. If this is a real pen test, we wouldn't just end there. So let's use phpMyAdmin. Show tables. Show tables. We'll just select everything. Jeez, I can't type. Select everything from PMA users. Empty set. Okay, show databases. I think there was another one there. Test. And nothing there. All right. So now we'll do nano hashes.txt. I'm going to grab the hashes from right here. Copy, paste, save, run it through Hashcat with their handy dandy RockU, which I think I have to unzip that. With sudo. Okay, now we'll do Hashcat. Hashes.txt. with user share wordless rocku.txt. Hit enter and see if any of these hashes crack. Now we do have to specify a hash mode. You'll notice that sometimes Hashcat can automatically detect the hash, so I always try that first. I'm pretty sure these are MD5 hashes. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, do -M0 for MD5, hit enter. Good time for a water break. Valbev said, super excited for the upcoming course this Saturday. Thank you. Me too. And now we all stare at Hashcat and hope that it cracks something. We can look over at our notes. So we have 3 users. We have Robert R. Smith, which also, this is username enumeration. Even if the hashes don't crack, maybe there's something more we can do with that. But we got R. Smith, E. Walters, and C. Powers. Oh, one is on CrackStation. Nice. Well, we'll see if we can crack it here. And unsuccessful. So let's try CrackStation. And we'll drop these hashes in here. All right. I'm surprised that's not in RockU. It's MD5, right? Yeah, that's what I did. Now I'm curious. If I cat user share wordless, and if I grep for I hate Eric too, it's there. Oh, I'm dumb. It did crack it. I'm literally just blind. I saw exhausted. I didn't realize it actually cracked the hash. Wow. I promise I do this for a living sometimes. Let's go ahead and just grab this for our screenshot showing that we cracked it. And we can drop over to our notes. We can close out CrackStation. We did crack it on our own. And that is the password for, let's make this much smaller, 7E7. So that would have been R. Smith. So I'm going to do an H1 and we'll say enumerating R. Smith. And we'll drop his credentials in. We have R. Smith, I hate Eric 2 is his password. Now the next thing we want to do is just confirm that this is his valid password. There's a few different ways that we can do that. Are you ever cracking passwords at work for any reason? Yes. When we do password cracking for work though, we use the cloud and some GPUs in the cloud to crack them. We also don't just use rocku.txt. But we could try netexec, and it is built into default Kali. Beautiful. Netexec smb-u R Smith-p I hate Eric 2 -i lab.trusted.vl and just see if we can read shares. Oh, I'm doing the syntax wrong here. I'm mixing up evil winum, see, with netexec. So netexec is smb, and then I think we actually pass it here. Potentially. One of these times, guys, I will remember how to use netexec. It's right after SMB. I always mess that up. And there, we have confirmed access to the R. Smith account. As I hate Eric 2, we are able to read a few shares, although these are just default shares, probably nothing helpful, but that does confirm access. So we'll just say confirming access as R. Smith. And we'll drop that in right there. And I think this is a good natural stopping point for the end of part 2 of working through the trusted machine, or rather trusted AD set here on Vulnlab. So if you have a Vulnlab subscription, I've showed you how to get to this point. You now have credentials as R. Smith, and now you can begin doing some really good Active Directory enumeration. So before you watch part 3, I want you to try this on your own. If you don't have a Vulnlab subscription, well, you should get one. You can do it on their Patreon. But if you don't have one, at least sit down and think through, okay, if I have valid Active Directory credentials, a username and a password, where do I go from here? And then I want you to at least jot that down, do some thinking on your own. You learn a lot by watching me. You learn even more by getting hands on keyboard and doing it right alongside of me. But hey, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch me stumble around and work through this machine. I will catch you in the next one.